This is classic Phil. I want the puck. Give me the puck. Look at Kunitz laughing.
I can hear Phil behind me now.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
You better get you on the bike there, buddy, if you're going to keep eating these cookies. That's your fourth one today.
How's your breath?
It's not good, eh?
No, I meant in terms of conditioning.
Oh.
You've heard of athletes who swear by kale shakes, cryo-tanks, and 6 a.m. yoga. Phil Kessel isn't one of them. The man who owns the NHL's all-time Ironman streak has a weakness for hot dogs, jokes his way through media scrums, and once played a single shift while his wife was in labor, just to keep his streak alive. He's 8 points shy of 1,000, holds 3 Stanley Cup rings, and somehow still can't land a contract as of this season. If you think your daily habits are odd, wait till you meet the legend who breaks every hockey stereotype yet keeps rewriting the record book. Quick favor, these deep dive videos take a crazy amount of research and editing, so hit subscribe right now and ride with Phil the Thrill to the very end. Trust me, you'll want front row seats for what happens next. Phil Kessel didn't tiptoe into pro hockey, he cannonballed. Drafted 5th overall by the Bruins in 2006, the 19-year-old walked straight from the University of Minnesota's locker room into NHL highlight reels. By mid-November, he already had 5 goals and 8 points. Boston scouts looked like geniuses. Then, just before Christmas, doctors told him he had testicular cancer. Whatever image you have of a meek rookie vanished that day. Kessel scheduled surgery, lost a testicle, skipped only a dozen games, and returned with the same wicked release that terrified college goalies. Come April, he became the first, and still only, rookie ever to win the Masterton Trophy, proving perseverance was more than a buzzword in his bio. But that gritty comeback was merely act 1 of a career that kept daring the universe to throw harder curveballs. 3 seasons in, Kessel was Boston's deadliest finisher, 36 goals in 70 games, and still somehow stapled to second-line minutes. Fed up, he asked for a trade. Toronto's new GM Brian Burke paid a king's ransom, 2 first-round picks and a second. Those unprotected picks morphed into Tyler Seguin and Dougie Hamilton, future All-Stars. So Maple Leafs fans expected Kessel to be Superman in skates. He was their best scorer 6 straight seasons, never missing a game, but the team around him stayed mediocre. The Toronto press needed a villain, and the quiet American with a sweet tooth became the target. Headlines mocked his conditioning. Photographers camped near his condo to snap Hot Dog Phil, and radio hosts hammered his so-called bad attitude. Kessel rarely fought back, except for that one glorious scrum when a reporter implied he was uncoachable. "This guy is such an idiot," Phil muttered on a live mic, then defended Captain Dion Phaneuf the very next breath. The press hated him for the honesty, teammates loved him for the loyalty, yet every losing season piled blame on his shoulders. The tension was toxic, something had to give, and it did, but the solution catapulted him from punchline to playoff hero almost overnight. Pittsburgh pounced in 2015, plucking Kessel for pennies on Burke's original dollar. With Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin hogging defensive attention, Phil thrived on a third line with Carl Hagelin and Nick Bonino, aptly nicknamed HBK. That spring, he torched opponents for 10 goals and 22 points, unofficially stealing Conn Smythe chatter before goalie Matt Murray edged him out. 1 year later, he did it again. 23 points, another cup. Kessel celebrated the only way he knew, posting a photo on Instagram, grinning over the Stanley Cup stuffed with hot dogs. Leafs Nation fumed. Phil just laughed. He'd spent years painted as lazy, selfish, bad for the room. Yet in Pittsburgh's hyper-competitive locker room, Crosby called him the perfect spark. The redemption arc was complete, except Kessel still had more history to write, and that history hinged on a streak nobody saw coming. If anybody told you in 2006 that the league's ultimate Ironman would be a forward famous for 0 off-season workouts and post-practice soda, you'd have laughed them out of the rink. But Phil kept suiting up every single night. He chirped 6 feet 9 inches, Dano Chara, survived cross-checks from defensemen built like forklifts, and never begged off a shift. The milestones piled up, 800th, 900th, then 956 straight game, the last while his wife went into labor. He took a ceremonial opening shift, hustled to a private jet, welcomed his first child, and was back before the next puck drop. By 2022, he smashed Keith Yandel's record, playing his 1,000th consecutive game a few weeks later. The NHL's Ironman was officially powered by mustard and dry humor, yet the streak faced its biggest threat in the desert: cap-strapped Pittsburgh shipped Kessel to Arizona in 2019. On paper, it looked like exile. In reality, the Coyotes needed scoring and a mentor for their young forwards. Even at 32, he led the roster in goals and points. He dragged them into the 2020 bubble, upset Nashville, and extended the Iron Man tally with every otherwise meaningless late-season game. The Coyotes missed the playoffs the following 2 years, but local beat writers raved about Phil's locker room mood, his sarcastic one-liners, and the way rookies leaned on him for advice. He wasn't the fastest anymore, yet his wrist shot remained lethal and his vision underrated. Still, the desert was only a pit stop. Kessel had one more chapter and another ring waiting under the bright lights of Vegas. Knights GM Kelly McCrimmon dangled a one-year prove-it deal in August 2022, gambling that a streak-chasing veteran could still juice a roster built on pure speed. Phil grabbed the pen, rolled into camp with his trademark grin, and by opening night was stapled to the middle six, quietly hunting 2 milestones. Over 82 games, he not only potted his 400th career goal in San Jose, but also shattered Keith Yandel's Ironman mark on October 25th, game 990, a night when the T-Mobile Arena crowd roared every time he hopped the boards. 3 weeks later in Arizona, the very city that had once felt like exile, he became the first player ever to skate 1,000 consecutive games, a number so absurd that even teammates joked the scoreboard must be broken. The points didn't flow like the Pittsburgh days, 14 goals, 22 helpers, but inside the room, coaches praised his daily banter, his knack for calming nerves before elimination games, and the way rookies gravitated to his tape-to-tape wisdom. When Bruce Cassidy healthy scratched him in round 1, game 5 against Winnipeg, outside pundits predicted sulking. Instead, Kessel fetched extra sticks, quipped about his personal load management plan, and kept spirits light. Vegas bulldozed through 4 rounds, and confetti rained as Phil hoisted cup number 3, pausing for yet another meme-worthy photo op. During the ice level celebration, a reporter hollered, "You playing next year?" Phil wiped sweat, winked, and fired back, "Oh yeah, I feel young and hungry." But as the champagne dried, front offices across the league still hesitated, unsure whether betting on the next chapter of the Iron Man saga was worth the gamble. Summer 2023 slid into training camp without a single PTO offer. Vancouver invited him for a casual skate, but passed on a deal. Insiders Pierre LeBrun and Elliot Friedman insisted Kessel isn't contemplating retirement, he just wants a shot. Yet October arrived, then January, and his phone stayed quiet. He sits 8 points shy of 1,000, the holy grail for NHL forwards. Fans flood Reddit threads begging contenders to sign him for the stretch run. Penguins diehards fantasize about a hometown reunion. Tampa bloggers argue his power play release would shine in Florida's humidity. Phil keeps skating in Madison, Wisconsin. Same unassuming rink, same taped up stick, waiting for one more GM to roll the dice. And if that call never comes, he'll still own 3 rings, an Iron Man record that might survive a generation, and a cult following bigger than some franchises. Phil Kessel's resume feels like 3 different careers jammed into one. Cancer survivor who refused to sit out, scapegoat who morphed into double cup champion, jokester who quietly set a record built on raw durability. He was the league's most unlikely warrior, skating on fast food fuel and stubborn joy. Maybe a team finally lets him notch those last 8 points. Maybe they don't, and his tally freezes at 992. Either way, the story is already mythic. So here's the real question. When the next Iron Man candidate chases his total, will anyone believe the record holder crushed vending machine snacks between periods? Smash that subscribe button if you're rooting for one more Kessel comeback, and stick around, because Phil's filthiest snipes and no-look apples are rolling next, and they're as jaw-dropping as the legend himself.